So yeah, hello, my name is Bubzia, and today I will do commentary for Metroid Zero Mission, a Metroid title on Game Boy Advance. And without further notice, I will just start. The run is pretty long, we have lots of time to talk. But yeah, I will do any percent blindfolded of this game, which means we beat it as fast as possible, but with covering the eyes with a blindfold. That means only relying on audio cues and memorization and not seeing anything, basically. I do this since long times already. I joined the blindfolded speedrunning community like 3 years ago, and now I'm active as a moderator there. And first thing we notice is we set up a new game here and we play on the normal difficulty, not on easy. Easy is also completely possible, of course, but normal kind of represents more of a challenge, especially since it's very easy to die and it's, at least in my opinion, more fun. So yeah, as you can see, Metroid Zero Mission is a completely normal Metroid game, 2D, where Samus arrives in her spaceship and then has to go to different areas, collect different items and upgrades like we did right now in the beginning, the Morph Ball, upgrading her suit, her weapons, missiles, etc., defeating different bosses, the typical Metroidvania game. And how I navigate through these rooms blindfolded is mostly using audio cues and the whole map memorization. I will especially count Samus footsteps and use enemies as audio cues. As you will see in the next room, for example, it is a vertical climb, and vertical rooms are always much more difficult than horizontal ones, in my opinion. Here, for example, I will check for this enemy. I can hear the different sound, I know it was above me, so I know exactly when to jump up again. And like this I will proceed my way with these normalized jumps left and right. They are always a fixed distance, so I can exactly know where I am. And I kill most of the enemies, because if you get hit by an enemy, you get knocked back kind of randomly, so it's very difficult to determine where I actually will land, which is of course pretty troublesome. But yeah, we are on the way for the long beam upgrade, which is actually interesting. Here I also check for the enemy, because this upgrade here that we get, it does not take much time. It's like a 1.5 minute detour, but it's, I think, actually the only difference to the visual speedrun of this category. In any percent visual, you don't collect this because it's kind of a detour and you can do it with only missiles. But there's one room in particular later, the so-called Hive room, where it's just so much easier to get this quickly and in blindfolded. I did it before the Hive room with only missiles, but it is definitely not fun and not a viable option for runs. So yeah, this run I have practiced for multiple months. I have grinded this a few months too, so did many runs already. And I also was running this at the Metroid Marathon 2019. Now I have decided to come back to this game to submit to some marathons like SGDQ and DSA Summer, after I did Metroid Fusion at DSA a few weeks ago. Metroid Fusion 100% it was, and Deltarune at RTA in Japan, and now I have gotten the feel for marathons and just want to showcase the blindfold community a bit more and the Metroid community, because honestly it's a great speed game which lots of people should try out. But back to the game. We are now just descending the same way back that we came and make the way to the missile upgrade and the first boss of the game. I do some very specific movement there to get into this secret path in the floor. And what is great for marathon safety is, for example here, everywhere in the game are these save stations where you can save your game. They are of course optional and I skip a lot of them in my runs because I usually just reset and grind for good times. If I die, it might be anyways not possible anymore, so I just mostly don't save. But for marathons I can just save wherever I want, have a nice backup, and there should be no problems at all. And here we get the missile upgrade, followed directly by the first boss of the game, which we have a very cool blindfolded strat for. We use first a normalized setup for the positioning, then count 8 beats, like a beat counting setup, shoot a missile up into his eye perfectly, then damage boost left and right from him, perfectly in the eye, damage boost to get knocked back into the perfect position, knock back on the left side, a bit right tap, and perfect fight. This is how we kill him in blindfolded, because of course we cannot really know where the eye will be, but while damage boosting we always get the attack pattern of his that he is directly above us basically, which is very useful because we don't need to follow or hunt him down. And since we only have 5 missiles, we also do not have many tries to kill him. And another vertical climb. I really don't know why vertical areas are so much more difficult in blindfolded. My friend Ponctus, who did Super Metroid blindfolded, also has told me once that vertical sections are mostly pretty difficult, so it's not only me, I guess. And here we proceed counting the steps, so we jump perfectly over these acid pits, or at least try. And like this we make our way through all the areas, counting. It's mostly during the whole run I count. And this is the famous hive room we needed the long beam upgrade for. Because as you can see, there are these nests of all these hives, I guess, that we have to kill across those pits. And usually in any percent visual you only use your missiles, but you have to kind of first lure the bats away, because we only have 5 missiles at this point. And with the long beam you can just spam it basically, otherwise your normal beam wouldn't reach them. And with some normalized jumps we make it across very safely, which is very much easier. Here we'll grab a few more missile tanks and E-tanks. We will do that along the whole course of this run, because we need to get a bit more buff for the final fight, which is Mother Brain, as one might expect. Because it is very easy to die in any percent, of course. Since we want to go as fast as possible, we do not collect every E-tank and every missile tank. So we have to fight the boss with very little health and all. And it's extremely easy to die there. It's probably the hardest section of the entire game, the end boss tier. But first we will get the famous bomb upgrade for the morph ball in a few rooms, which allows us to place bombs with the morph ball, as the name suggests. And also with these bombs we can do so-called bomb jumps, where we infinitely jump into the air during a morph ball. And we use that to sequence break actually early into the Ridley section of this game, because there are 2 main bosses that we need to kill in order to proceed to Mother Brain, which are Crate and Ridley. And the intended order of these bosses is to first kill Crate and then Ridley. But if we sequence break and go to Ridley first, we get super missiles, which makes the whole rest of the game very much faster and easier. And what I do here is all these statues that give us items or maps, they afterwards act as a refill station too if you morph into them. So what I did here is refill my health and missile count. And here, in order to open the door, we need to kill those bugs with a bomb. Which is, they act randomly. I don't know exactly how they act, but sorry. They definitely can misbehave a few times and go in all directions and all. Here again, we count the steps to jump over these acid pits pretty well. Here I got stuck, but no problem. I know the layout, so I can just back up with a few wall jumps. Interesting is also that in Zero Mission you can wall jump in one direction, just like in Super Metroid. Because in, for example, Metroid Fusion, if you wall jump on a wall to your right, you can only wall jump to the left, so like away from the wall. But in this game, like here, you can wall jump basically into the same direction. Which makes movement a lot easier, to be honest, because you can just climb walls basically. So it's a great movement tool we have. Jumping again, counting the steps to know when to jump. Because, yeah, the movement is very fluid, honestly, in these Metroid games, even in Blindfolded. As you can see in the top left, I am just sitting there. And what I also would give a little note to during the commentary, at least, is the input view on the bottom left. I personally find input views extremely interesting, especially in Blindfolded, because you can really see like what I was thinking and what buttons I was holding and pressing. But yeah, just as a side note, if you are interested in the more technical aspects. Here I try to get like very close up on this edge, like this, just like a little step so I can jump up here. I failed it a few times, but it's only a tiny time loss. And now we head into the second area of this game, Norfair, the lava section.
You different start in 11 minutes and 39 seconds.
And what you might have noticed now, on my left, the splits are empty, and it says 100% and not any percent. That is because this was actually intended to be an 100% attempt of this game, because I finished runs of 100% and any percent, of course, in this game Blindfolded. But in this particular run, I forgot an item for 100% in the bomb room that I was needed to get, else I would lose tons of time. And I didn't notice first, but luckily the route is the same until a certain point. So soon I will realize that I actually forgot this item, and I will just decide to do an any percent run out of it, because why not? It's good practice and I needed it for the marathon run. So yeah, pretty lucky that I PB'd during a basically not even planned run. My PB before this was, I think, a low 120, so like 127, 128 or something. And with this run I beat it by like 5 minutes, because I didn't die much. So yeah, here is a very particular wall jump we need to do. I got it first try. It's more technical and difficult than it looks. I just jump up there, kind of. But now we are in the third area basically of the game. Just a little quick sneak look into this area, because we'll leave very early again. We just need to grab this unknown item. There are multiple unknown items in this run, which will all activate later on when we get the last suit. Okay guys, a bit of a change of plan. I already forgot an item. We do any percent. Yeah, here I realized that I forgot an item and switched to any percent. Grab some missile tanks on the way that are not costing much time. So, as you can see here, we can use the bombs also to get like a little jump in the morph ball. We can use that to get like up little slopes and all. And again, a new item is coming up. Probably the most important item in the whole blindfolded run, which is the how was it called? Grapple power grip, yeah. The power grip, which allows us to finally normalize on edges. Because when we now, with this item, jump against an edge, we grab it, and we can use that to know our position and do like much more normalized movement. Like this. I know exactly where I am when I grab this edge. I can just jump straight up and I'm at the place where I want to be. It's a shame and a bit more difficult in Zero Mission than other Metroid games, where you have the power grip from the very beginning. Here it's an external upgrade. So for example in Metroid Fusion, it's there from the very beginning and it makes movement much easier in the first 15 minutes. And yeah, for the question in chat, I'm doing just a commentary right now of my old PB. So I can read chat and I want to, if there are any questions about this run, then I'm free to answer right now, because I basically just want to get some knowledge about this run going. Here I set up a particular position to just shoot and wait for this enemy, because he can knock you off, and like this I have the perfect setup for this missile tank here. And again, killing these enemies. I mostly take it safe in the beginning stages, as I said, because I only have 200 health, like 1 E-tank and 99 energy. And if you get knocked by the enemies into the lava randomly, then it can very easily lead to death. Especially in the upcoming rooms, there's a lot of danger going on. Here I counted the music to know when to turn around. And upcoming are very difficult rooms. One of the most difficult movement-wise room, at least. It is very easy to die, that's why I usually save at this save that we just passed. But I feel comfortable enough, at least in runs, to do it without save. In a marathon setting I will definitely save here. It's this particular room. As you can see, there's a big lava pit and these tiny platforms which we need to cross with like very specific jumps. But we do it perfectly here, so lucky enough. Here we get the ice beam upgrade, the first upgrade to our beam, which is very useful, I would say, because it makes a very particular, first of all, a different sound than the normal beam, and it's stronger and it freezes enemies, which we can use to build like platforms out of enemies, for example, and these kind of things. And here's a little setup that we use. We freeze that ripper above us to do the wall jumps up here. There's also a save station I would use, again, in marathon setting, because upcoming is the big sequence break of this run. And here a little skip. Oh, we get it. We can skip this statue by placing a very precise bomb. It's really cool. And yeah, we sequence break into Ridley early, because there are these two sections in the game, Crate and Ridley, that we both need to defeat two bosses before we can get to the final boss. And we sequence break into Ridley to get super missiles early, and we do this by doing a very difficult movement jump here, and I have this setup for Blindfolded that I created. Here I noticed it's the wrong pattern that I got, Because you can freeze the Ripper and like, it's like probably frame dependent. Sometimes when you do the normalized jumps, you get above him, sometimes below him like now. And I need to go below him, shoot this particular block, and then jump through this little maze reverse basically, because you're not supposed to come this way. And I did it. Perfect sequence break. With this we got access to the Ridley area early. We grab one more Mr. Tank here and then burn up the bosses coming up. A boss that actually is extremely interesting blindfolded, because the boss itself doesn't move. Maybe some of you might remember it. It's the big hive or like insect thing that, like, as you can see, or like a maggot it might be. Anyways, what we do, I want you to look very closely to this fight, because it's completely normalized. We go into this corner, freeze this Ripper, refreeze it, jump on it, refreeze, and then just spam missiles into one direction for this one side. And then we basically repeat the same thing on this side. And because it's always the same, I know which attacks are coming. That's why I could, for example, shoot this one attack that was coming. Oh, here I failed because I did not get up, really. But it's no problem. All I need to do is refreeze and then we are good. Just like this. Perfect fight, no damage. Very cool setup in my opinion. And with this, we go to Ridley. This was like the early game of the run. I would say Brinstein Norfair. Then like Ridley and Crate are like the mid game. Turian is like kind of end game of the run. And then, I mean, it's still a whole lot, but it's basically just Zero Suit and the last boss. What is very important is here we will farm like to full HP and full missiles, because there will be rooms upcoming that are extremely difficult and easy to die in. So there's this triple spawn of enemies that we can abuse to get some items. And here is a very precise bomb jump, where you jump infinitely with the morph bombs. I faded once. It's totally fine, it's extremely precise, and blindfolded it's very difficult because it depends on how exactly you press, but it's so precise that sometimes you need 10 bombs, sometimes 11, sometimes 12, and it doesn't really, and you can't really tell, so you have to just go for it. And you also need to be like exactly beneath the hole, which I try to set up. Oh, and there we are in. This is also another sequence break. It skips a whole lot of the Ridley section. And yeah, this is a extremely difficult trick. I'm very surprised that it actually works, honestly, blindfolded. But it does. Here we farm again a few missiles and go to the very dangerous room, if you want. There are a lot of these jumping enemies on the left here, and they take lots of hits, and the worst thing is that they do extremely much damage. I'm not sure exactly how much, but I think it was like 40 HP or something, so like 3 to 4 hits and you should be dead. So what I do here is I listen for the enemies if they are coming or not. There is one. Okay, they do 30 damage. Like I got hit twice, 3 times, 4 times, and you can see I'm basically close to dead. So I try to do it very slow and be careful in this room, but it's not always possible. Here I beat count from exiting the door to perfectly freeze this guy. If you fall down, you basically have to backtrack all the way. It's like a huge time loss if you fall down there, but you can. There are multiple outcomes of RNG where the enemies go, like left or right. but if you beat count it, I have like one specific beat for every possibility, so I will always freeze it perfectly. We also saw the first super missile tank there. I will grab it in a few seconds, but first I'll get some more missile tanks, because they are very fast to get here, and there are actually three of them in one room basically. And for Mother Brain we need at least, I think, 65 missiles and 5 super missiles. So we kind of still need some. And here we get the super missile tank finally. Only 2. But super missiles are extremely strong. So in this run we'll get a total of 6. 2 more than the actual visual speedrun. Because it makes Mother Brain extremely more easy if you have 2 more of these. Here again, beat counted, perfect freeze in the lower corner there. And he will grab another of these super missile tanks. Just shooting around to kill most of these enemies, because they also do lots of damage and you don't want to get hit at this point. Of course you cannot tell where the enemies are, so I was just shooting around like crazy. But yeah, in my opinion, this game is extremely fluid, blindfolded. It's like, sometimes I forget that it's even blindfolded. You can see definitely all these setups that I do, but I think I got it very optimized, which I'm pretty proud about. Here's an idol, super easy, just mothball and shoot it. And upcoming is the Ridley boss fight, very famous for its... And wait a second. Oh, we got the glitch. We got the refill glitch, which is frame perfect basically. I do it for style mostly, it doesn't really save much time, but it's pretty swag that you can do it blindfolded, honestly. You need to like morph and collect the item and get the refill at the exact same frame. But now for Ridley, what we do is first we spam all the super missiles, then defend his attack, crouch, shoot up left and spam missiles as hard as we can. It's basically the entire fight. It looks very easy, and it also is execution-wise. You just need to mash the B button extremely fast. But otherwise it's pretty easy. The only problem is that he can do different attack patterns, of course, which you need to react to. Here we freeze this enemy in a perfect position. Very good. It's also pretty hard. But yeah, that was our second boss, Ridley. Now we backtrack to where we came from. Get our third E-tank now. Finally, so now from this point on it's until the end boss pretty difficult to die, I would say. Because we'll get more and more health, and because we sequence break, the enemies here are very dangerous and deadly, but where we are going now to crate, they will be how do you say, they will be easier to defeat and they don't do that much damage, so from now on it's pretty safe sailing for a while. But we just retreat this way back here. Some nice movement, some wall kicks. And we go to crate, where we will get the famous speed boost upgrade. Which we'll see later though. There is one more specific E-tank I want to point out here in Ridley. Because from the beginning of the map, like in this room, when we go left and not straight up to the elevator, it's like a 1-minute detour, I think, blindfolded. But there is another E-tank actually. that you can get for safety.
57 seconds.
Even in a marathon run, I think personally I would not grab it. Maybe I would, honestly. But with this E-Tank it's definitely even more easy to defeat the final boss. So there is this option for sure too. It's great for a marathon run because there are all these safety saves and extra E-Tanks and missiles that you can take. I think that makes Metroid in general a very good run. For grinding PBs and grinding good times, of course, it's not viable at all. Oh, here I forgot to shoot a missile because this upper block only gets away when you shoot a missile there. And yeah, I have some troubles to realize what I did wrong. Here I shoot the second missile. There we go. So yeah, another very important item is coming up. The high jump upgrade, which allows us to basically double our jump height. And also it gives us the ability to jump as the morph ball. Which is, it's really great honestly, because it's just, movement just gets so much easier. For setups where you needed 2 normal jumps, you just need 1 for now. And also speed-wise it is way more faster, of course. Your jump speed velocity is also much higher. So we grab this and now we go back to the beginning area of this game in order to get to Crate after all. There are some secret boosters here in this wall that I will access to skip most of the movement. Just like this. And we are all the way up. And the only problem with high jump is, in Blindfolded at least, is that it is very good, of course, that we can jump high and stuff, but we need to backtrack some rooms. In the beginning area, for example, this vertical room. And with high jump, of course, we need a second setup for the same room, and at least for me, it's always super difficult to memorize 2 setups for the same room. Oh, and we got a super drop here, it's extremely lucky. You can either use super missiles to kill these rippers and go up here, or just rely on RNG basically to not get hit, because if they knock you, your wall jump gets cancelled. But yeah, as you can see, we are now back. And what I was saying earlier is that basically if I memorize a room, I memorize it with the set of inputs I need to do for this room. And having to memorize like one section of the game with two different inputs, I don't know, it messes a bit with my brain, and I personally find it much more difficult. For example, this, we had to climb this exact area with the lower jump, and now we have high jump, and we need to use like a different setup for killing the enemies and jumping. It's of course no problem, it's just like very interesting in my opinion that even these little tasks of like a different movement upgrade makes such a big difference in Blindfolded. So yeah. Also, I got another chat message and a question, which is why I don't use like text-to-speech, for example, channel point redemptions. It's true, I cannot read chat at all, and also, quick note, here I will grab another E-Tank hidden in the wall with a bomb jump. I cannot read chat at all, and I have all notifications and text-to-speeches disabled on Twitch and whatever. Mostly because our community, we try to keep runs as pure as possible, because every single outside or external help, of course, kind of can give you hints. Text-to-speech can say what you do wrong at a specific point. It can, for example, give you hints if you mess up something or forget a strat. And what we want to encourage, at least for blindfolded runners, is that they use only like their own memory and their own ability to complete a run like this. There is a huge debate, for example, also if like metronomes should be allowed. Like having a metronome, of course, would make beat counting, for example, extremely more easy. And we still don't have a clear distinction on. Some people say yes, it should be allowed, some people say it shouldn't. But I personally, at least, keep my runs really just me and the game. So I don't use any outside help, and I also don't plan on using text-to-speech at any point during runs. Just because I want to really... And also, I personally think trolls could mess one up very easily. For example, if someone just says like, oh, you are there and there, but you're actually not. But yeah, in the meanwhile, we have entered the crate section. As you can see, we first went this right way, which leads to another mini-boss called the Acid Worm. And in any percent of the visual speedrun, you actually skip this boss in its entirety. It's the second difference to Blindfolded. But kind of only top runners do it, because the skip you need to perform, the sequence break, is extremely precise. You need to infinite bomb jump over horizontally over a acid pit. And if you take this little detour, it takes like 3 minutes, I would say. First of all, you get more E-tanks and more missile tanks that I just picked up. And for this boss also we have a very particular setup in Blindfolded. I grab onto this elevator, or like zipper thing. Here I fell down, but I can back it up. Then I beat count, shoot 2 to 3 missiles into his heart, switch to super missiles, spam it inside him, and I count how much damage I take. It stops, I jump, and he should be dead. Yes, perfect fight. It is possible to one-cycle him also in Blindfolded, but very difficult, and at least in most runs I don't get it. So that was the Acid Worm. Now these ziplines on the top have energy, so we can use them to basically just like zip through all the rooms to back. And we'll grab another little missile tank without much detour. It is very interesting to route a run like this, because you have to consider like which missile tanks are first of all viable in Blindfolded, which are easy to get. And second of all, of course, which ones are fast to get, because even the easiest missile tanks can be like a big detour, and that's also not what you want for a speedrun. So here, again, getting stuck a bit in the acid, that slows you down a bit. And here is the famous acid worm skip room. First of all, we go a bit to the left here, and now we activated the zipline, so we can just do some left jumps and we are perfectly, and we can zip through this whole big pit of acid. And over this whole pit you would need to bomb jump, which is extremely difficult even with eyes. Only top runners kind of do it these days. So with these restrictions that I have, I just kill the mini-boss with a little detour and get some more health and missiles. It's much worth it, to be honest. Here I will attempt another one of the refill glitches. Frame perfect. Now with a different setup. Oh, and I got it again. 2 out of 2 so far. It's pretty cool, honestly. It's like the little things that probably only like the community knows to appreciate, because it's so difficult and so basically useless, but it's just extremely cool. What it does basically is that you refill your health and get the item text box at the same time, so you save like a few frames because the text boxes overlap for like a short period of time. So like very little time save, but it's just incredibly cool. Here also last save point before the next boss, which is great. And funnily enough, I do not save before this boss like I would in a marathon for like Ridley. And the reason is, you will see, this boss is very difficult. Because we sequence rate, we now have super missiles, which you would normally have. And look at this fight, don't blink. And he's dead. So yeah, that was great. That is mostly the reason why we sequence break to Ridley first. It's just so much easier to just kill him with 2 shots. And so much faster. And now we have Speed Booster, the speedrun item. Mostly known for Metroid speedruns is probably this item where you get like extremely fast after running a while. And here we'll pause buffer. I hear the sounds of the braking, pause buffer, and get the spark all the way up to this room. These shine sparks are pretty difficult and need like very, very precise setups. But unfortunately, in any percent we only have like 3 instances of using the speed booster at all, I think, because you kind of just finished the run without using it. It's mostly needed for 100%. That's where the true shine spark madness begins. Same as in Metroid Fusion, basically. Here again, a setup. And we got it first try. It's also pretty precise. And what I do to count when I have to jump is count the background music this time. I think it was 13 beats, 13 and a half beats. So I stand in this door corner and then I just count. I hold the right stick and count 13 and a half beats and then I jump.
You did great in 41 minutes and 40
And that was great. Now we are already heading to the end boss, kind of the first part of the game, because that's the gimmick of Zero Mission. It has like 2 parts to it. And yeah, the crate kill is extremely fast. It's one of the coolest things in Zero Mission speedruns, I think. You can just like completely demolish this guy. But okay, where do I start with Turian? The next section that's upcoming is called Turian, probably known by a lot of Metroid players. But before that, I get the 3rd super missile tank with a extremely precise shine spark setup. This one is also not... This one you don't get usually in visual, but I need one more for Mother Brain, just for an easier kill. And it involves a very precise and pause buffered shine spark setup. First, I spark through this door, reopen, morph ball spark to the left, and now I pause buffer for 2 enemy kills. It was a perfect pause here. Bomb the floor, and I missed because I was too far to the right. I need to bomb the floor and land back into this little pit that I created with this bomb. So we'll see it again here. Perfect spark. Pause buffer. 1 kill. 2 kills. Bomb. And we were down there and perfect. We got the secret super missile tank. It's an extremely difficult item, but Even if you do it 2 times and lose like, you lose like a minute, I think, getting it, but it is so much easier to kill Mother Brain with 2 more super missiles. And even with that, it's still extremely difficult. So I just get it, honestly. It's anyone who wants to do this game blindfolded, I highly recommend you get the super missile tank. I did runs, my early runs were without, and those were the days where I died 5 to 6 times to Mother Brain and still got a PB, because it was so extremely difficult. Here we refill one last time, because the next section that is coming up is literally hell on Earth. It's called Turian, and I think everyone who played this game has his nightmares about this section. It is where the famous Metroids come up, and yeah, speedrunners can relate. It's RNG hell because Metroids kind of spawn randomly, you can just lose time. They are extremely powerful, they need like 5 missiles to kill. And you need to kill everything in order to proceed through the rooms.
You did interceptions within 45 minutes.
Now add a blindfold to it and you have literally the most stressful section of like all runs. Because the good thing is, the Metroids always spawn at the same spot at least, so we can use like normalized setups to get there, but every single little mistake I make is basically reset, because as soon as one Metroid gets hold on you, first of all you lose so much health that you are not supposed to lose, and second of all, like, your position gets off, it might knock you into other Metroids, it might spawn different things, it's absolute hell. So what you need to do to kill the Metroid, you need to freeze it. And for example here, you see I shoot a missile but it flew like right under it because I freezed it too high. That's the second problem with Ice Beam, is that its hitbox is larger than the missile hitbox. So I kind of need to like feel my way where the Metroid actually is, which makes everything again even more difficult than it already is. This room is very difficult, there are tons of Metroids, and these rinkless, I think they are called. They just come from all sides, you need to dodge them perfectly. Here I try to kill a few. There are super many Metroids. I do it in a very specific way to proceed through this room. Wait to jump over this guy. Kill this Metroid with a super missile. Oh, and he got hold of me. You can see my health. Instantly 2 E-tanks gone, and I cannot shake him off. There, finally. One little mistake and half of my HP is gone. Here again, more, I get stuck again. Oh, my health is very low. Oh my god, I have 60 HP. But it's also, oh no, it's extremely stressful, this part, I can tell you. You can see these rings are hitting me from all sides, Metroids are killing me. Everything is just basically trying to kill me at this point. And what is interesting to see is that a normal Metroid takes either 5 normal missiles or 1 super missile. But we only have 6 super missiles, so we kind of need to like manage our missile count and count how much we have. Unfortunately, here in this corner there is a spawn where we can farm HP and missiles to full again. It takes lots of time, but we need it, honestly, as you can see. This was the first half basically, and now the second comes up. So we need to get full on HP. The problem is both missiles and HP make the same sound, what you get, so there's no way of telling. They don't make the same sound, but even if they are full, they make the same sound. So you kind of cannot tell how long you should farm. I just farm like a bit. Mostly when it changes, because if you have full missiles but not full health, it's like to 80% drops health. So I can like kind of guess when it's finished based on how much it alternates between missiles and health. But yeah, it's kind of random too. Now the second part. I know I am at least a bit more full on HP and stuff. Again, hitbox difference, I cannot hit him. So I have to like feel my way towards it and kill it. Again, nearly got hit into the Metroid. It's so much randomness going on there. It's a very brutal section. Hitbox difference again. Shooting below it, I need to feel my way. Nope, I messed up. Got grabbed by it. There we go, got hit. Again, hitbox difference. Okay, I checked if it's up left of me and it was. Yeah, it's really difficult to commentate this part because it's just so much going on. This is the last room though. I try to set up like a perfect position for the bomb and then I keep getting hit by the ring. Here are like tons of Metroids. But we got a super missile drop, which is good. Yeah, the drop rates are also... It's very rare for super missiles to drop. So especially since we only have like this much and this like 6 super missiles, it's always good when we drop some. And most of the times we can also hear it, because they make a different sound if the audio does not get eaten. Which we will see also in the escape very soon. So this was Turian, we basically finished. We just run back now to farm to full health again, because Mother Brain is coming up and we need every single resource we can. So we walk back all the way to the spot where we farmed the first time. And get to full health, and I guess I can start talking about Mother Brain already. So, first of all, you will see we need to go through like 4 or 5 gates, which each take 8 missiles to get through. The problem is, there are like guns that shoot at us from all directions, there are these rings that come at us from all directions, there is lava. It is just a huge mess of randomness, and it is so difficult to get through this first part even. Now, if you get past all of that, there is still the actual boss fight, which will take another like 65 missiles plus supers to break like because Mother Brain is first like protected by glass, which will take I think 4 super missiles, or like 6 super missiles actually. No, I think it's 4. Yeah, 4. And then you need to shoot into Mother Brain's eye with like 5 missiles each time. And definitely this is the most important save point in this entire run, I think. But for Mother Brain at least, there is kind of a cheese speedrun strat, but it's very precise and still very difficult to do. Because it's a very particular position you need to get to, and then you need to freeze those wrinklers. And as you can see here, it starts so much enemy attacks and everything is hitting you, and you need to first get through these things here. Everything is hitting. I fell down. I tried to... Oh no, I wasted 1 super missile. It's bad. You need to shoot 2 to defeat one of those walls. but I got hit down. So I try to back up somehow. I get through, but I already am half of my health down because of the lava. And I wasted one super missile, which is extremely bad. Okay, got one hit in. You can just see, I think I don't need to explain, it's just so much coming at you from all sides, and without seeing it's incredibly bad. Now, as you can see, we didn't break the protective glass and we died. We were too long in the lava. It seems honestly impossible, but I can guarantee you it is. It's just very, very, very difficult. It's one of the most difficult fights I did in all my blindfolded career, I think. This section, this whole room, it's extremely punishing. Especially if you get hit into the lava, it's really bad. As you can see here, I also get a bit lost because I got hit down. I need to like find my way back. And another problem is I'm not allowed to waste much missiles because I need to get through all of these doors. Plus I think it was 50 missiles. I need 50 or 45 missiles for the actual kill. So if I waste any more than like 10 missiles, it's basically over too. Oh, and I wasted another super. There we go, finally. And we have 50 missiles, so we should be safe. Here I just set up my position. My position is off. I get hit, yeah. I need to retrace. Health is going very low. So what we do is... Oh no, I stood up accidentally. Oh no. This looks good. What I do is... There are those two wrinklers from the right side that come from top right and bottom right. And I try to freeze them and like sync them up. Because always when I hit Mother Brain's eye 5 times, he or she or it shoots this little beam where I need to morph. Yeah, and if I don't freeze the balls, as you can see here, I get knocked down. That's of course not what we want. So I died one time here, but that's totally fine. Okay, a few more times, then it should be dead. And what's upcoming is the escape sequence, because it's not even over with the hardest section, it's actually now starting only. Because the escape sequence here, it's a big vertical room, and because of the alarm music, all my audio cues are basically eaten. I cannot hear anything. So as you can see here, I'm doing all these jumps and this normalized movement, but basically blind and deaf. So I just rely on my muscle, on my inputs, and if I make a mistake, it's basically over. I need to redo the whole fight. But this was a perfect climb. It's still not over, there's still the second section, but this climb is extremely... I cannot even begin to say how much runs I've lost to not getting up there. We climbed this last vertical climb here. And we are basically out. We still have like 1 minute on the timer, which is very normal. Like timer wise, you should not die if you don't get the climb, but if you get lost in the climb area, it's basically over. So here we go. Oh, I think I'm in the ship already, but I'm not. Yeah, that was very unfortunate. I thought I'm on top of it already. So yeah, it was Turian, probably one of the hardest blindfolded sections I've done in all my runs. And I did many different games, so that was basically the first part of the game. And now we have only like the very end game with Suitless and the final boss. Which all of this is now already way easier than Durian, so it's all good. There's a big cutscene right now going on. So it's like a little breath after this stressful section. And then Suitless starts. Basically what happens in the story is that Samus could escape from this space station, Mother Brain and stuff, but her ship got shot down again while she was escaping. So now she landed and she has lost all her abilities and her suit. So now we have the iconic Zero Suit section, where we have this new beam weapon and no abilities anymore. We can just like crawl and run around. And as you can see on the top left, this charge bar determines if it's full, our shot actually stuns enemies. There will be all these space pirates you can see on the top now. Also map skip. There's a little fun skip that saves like 20 seconds. And I totally forgot to go for it even. Yeah, I mean, I'm blindfolded, I don't need the map at all. But yeah, you can skip this. Here, definitely save and refill. In Suitless, the save stations also refill your health, thankfully. And it's really recommended because the enemies do 100 energy damage, so one hit and you would be dead. So, Suitless, where do we start? Suitless is... I want to say it's easy, but it's not really, because the enemies are always in the same... the enemies always behave the same way. There is not a single piece of RNG in them. It's just like they behave according to your movement. So basically, if you do the same movement every single time, you get the same results every single time. Which is of course very good. If we just set up the movement, then it's all perfectly fine. For example, here, just turn around, do this, jump up here and we're good. But if you mess up anything, basically, a single movement, a single wall jump, like freezing an enemy, everything you do and mess up, it's basically a reset, to be fair. Because the pirates will just hit you, and as soon as you get hit, it's over. We can basically say that. There is sometimes a way to back it up if you reset the room and then like try again, but that's very unlikely. There's another save point here to the right you could take in marathon settings. Here I'm just going super fast because, yeah, my PB is very good at this point and I need every second to save. Here's the famous spotlight room. There are these lights floating around, which you are not allowed to touch. But we can do it pretty cool with the setup. We'll just continue our way. Another safe room here. I'm not sure if I will take it. Yes, I will. So a few more rooms of Suitless, and then we should be over it too. Here we trigger the alarm by jumping through it. And then all the pirates jump down, and during the jump down we use the time and climb up. Here again, freezing this pirate that comes from above, so we can wall jump through him. It's all perfectly timed, and as I said, if I mess up, I basically have to just start over from the last save point. But this is going very well so far. Just continue our way casually. This pirate never sees you, you can just run down, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's pretty stressy, because if they are following you and like the music gets tense, can get pretty stressy. Yeah, lots of save here because as I said, it's dangerous here. Another spotlight room, which we dodge with these long wall jumps and then wait for the light. I think I usually wait around 10 beats. Climb up, just as usual. All these jumps left and right are timed by the steps, because of course I cannot see. Here again, wall kicks all the way up, dodging the pirates. This whole section is just very normalized. There's honestly not much to say about it, besides just like watching it. You can see all the different things combined: normalized movement, beat counting, setups, everything. Here we wait for the attack, then jump over it. Like, it might also be that I'm just very used to the blindfolded gaming already. That's why I don't really know what is like special and impressive and what not. But yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, so I guess it happens. Anyways, this was the last save point, and actually no, it wasn't. There's one more section here. You can see the power bomb being carried. We will not get the power bomb upgrade in any percent though. We'll just finish. 100% in this run is also very interesting in my opinion. The route is basically the same like in any percent. The only difference is that at the very end there is a big cleanup section where you get like to all areas again and get all the items you haven't. Here's a very cool setup that probably most speedrunners haven't seen too. We freeze this pirate on the right side to reset the alarm, reset the room, and now all the pirates are gone from the like whole next 3 rooms, I think. It just makes everything way more safe. And I used some damage boosts in the past rooms. It's all normal, that's why I have not full health here. So yeah, last few rooms, and then we are at Charlie. Charlie is the boss upcoming in Suitless, and unfortunately it's the biggest RNG part of the run. Nothing bad, like in Fusion for example. Fusion has way more RNG than Zero Mission. Zero Mission basically is completely based on just skill and input, with like the micro RNGs at like Metroid, Centurion and Charlie, I guess. Because we will see, this boss is basically like a floating ball that will fly around the room and attack you randomly. And what you have to do is shoot him with the charged up beam when it activates, because it has like an activated and a deactivated state. And you can hear when he activates. The only thing you cannot know is where he is, because he basically moves randomly. So we'll see how this fight goes. I usually just stand in the corner, honestly, jump, so I get like different heights, and then shoot as soon as he activates. It sounds very random, and it is also, but honestly it works like all the time. I think I died like once or twice in this boss in my whole career. There he is. You can see when he's like flashing, it's activating. And here I just jump around. And also when he activates is random, so I cannot time it really. Here I shot by accident, oh my god, that was so stupid. Here, one hit. I need to hit him 3 times. Also, I jump because if you stand still Oh, 2 hits. Pretty good, honestly. If you stay still, he starts shooting these thunders. Also, in the third phase, sometimes he spawns these thunders in the middle, and that's it. We lost half of the health, but nothing serious, honestly. And now that we killed him, we get the last suit. I think it's Gravity Suit, if I'm not completely mistaken. Because all the unknown items we collected in the run, yeah, Gravity Suit. All the unknown items now get like identified, and we have the Gravity Suit, we have the Space Beam, and we have Space Jump, I think. Or Wave Beam, actually it is. No, we still have Ice Beam, okay. And yeah, Space Jump is a big topic too in Blindfolded, because, well, it sounds pretty cool to jump infinitely, and like, it's pretty fast and cool and all. You can just like re-jump in the air as much as you want. But there is one problem, is like when you cannot see. It's the timing of how to jump, because yeah, you kind of need to have a particular rhythm to get like the good height. Also, we get the Super Mr. Tank here because it's literally on the way, and we can use it for the very last boss, Metroid Ridley. Or Mecha Ridley, I guess it is. So yeah, as you can see here, I'm just like jumping by a very specific beat with the space jump. It's, I don't know, it's much more difficult than it sounds like, I think. But basically, we finished the game already. Now we just literally run towards the last boss, skip everything we see. We need to go back to like one room where we already have been in Suitless, and then from there we take a little detour. So we basically just run back the Suitless section here. And now with our beam we can also finally kill those pirates in like one shot. They still do a lot of damage, so it's still technically possible to die, not very likely, especially if you're safety safe here and there. But yeah, I still find it very amusing that I thought I will do a 100% run and then ended up with a any percent PB. Like my PB, which was already extremely well optimized in terms of movement and all. I think the biggest time save was that I didn't die at Mother Brain like 2 times or something. Here's another pause buffered space spark. I pause buffer the kill of this enemy, get the spark, and then shine all the way up. It skips this whole climb of vertical movement. And then we just space jump up here to this corner, and we good. Now a few more pirate kills and a few more rooms, and we'll slowly come up to the final boss. There's not much to say about Meta Ridley, I think. This room in particular is a bit annoying here at the end, because there's this ball that shoots these electro things, and it's kind of random where it is. So sometimes you jump into it and it knocks you down and stuff. Like this, like I got hit by the electro and luckily I grabbed the edge again. I do a lot of safety saves here, because it is kind of scary if you get hit. I would do the same thing in a marathon, to be fair. But yeah, Meta Ridley, you will see how the fight goes. Basically, it's one of the easier bosses in this run. It's supposed to be like the final boss, but even in casual play, lots of people say that Metroid is actually rather easy. Especially since you have like all this health and stuff. And in any percent not that much, I guess. Because we are still not that well equipped and all. This room is also pretty difficult because the pirates you need to freeze and they are in a very bad position for normalized movement, so you kind of need to get a feel for this room. But yeah, my map memorization so far has not failed in this room. Sometimes it happens that I forget like, oh, what was the next room? And then I like pause a bit and think. It's mostly what I do. But I usually get back on track very easily. And I also have like lots of backups in terms of movement and all planned and routed, so it should never be a problem that I get lost, I think. Also, one funny difference that few players know only, I think, is that in 100% the last fight, Metroid, actually gets harder than in any percent. Here I messed up the room and exited by accident again. But yeah, Metroid, if you have 100% of item collection, Metroid at the end gets like extremely strong. It has like, I think like 5 times the HP or something. And it does, I think, also way more damage. In Blindfolded it gets rather scary in 100%, even with all HP tanks. Just because it's very easy to die there too. In any percent, Metroid is nothing, honestly. It's just like a few timed jumps and super missiles, and then you're good. And yeah, a few rooms more with lots of pirates attacking you from all sides. Lots of enemies everywhere. Basically just blindfolded movement, what we saw all run. In combination, here we lure with like little strats here and there. Here we lure, for example, these pirates to jump down here. I think you could hear I froze one. Or like killed one. So I know they are kind of going to the right side, and then I can start jumping up and all. Here too, I first jump up, kill him, and then jump up again. It's like these little strats that are very difficult to explain in such a general commentary. You would need to go like room by room if you want like the precise blindfolded strats, but I think it would take a lot of time, and a general commentary like this is more for the general audience, not for like runners of this game who plan to do it blindfolded too. Especially since I'm kind of the only one who runs this blindfolded so far. But yeah, the last save point of the game. If in the last room we went to the left, there would be the power bomb upgrade, which you can see on my splits too, because it's 100%. That's the next thing I would get. But instead I will just go and finish my run. We just basically kill the boss like early now, and then just run and finish it. Because, of course, like in each Metroid game, there is the famous escape sequence after the final boss. In Zero Mission there are even 2. One after Mother Brain and one after Mecha Ridley. And this is the final room before the boss fight. We just count 4 of these crumbling blocks and then bomb and go right. And this is Mecha Ridley. You will see what I will do. I position myself in the down left corner. First dodge his first attack while crouching, and then do like tiny jumps, like tap the jump button and shoot the super missile when he's open, and should kill him in like 1 round. Perfect. That's why we also collect like 8 super missiles total, because it's perfectly enough to quick kill him. very easy boss, to be honest. You just need to have like the rhythm of the super missiles and then you're good. And now we have 5 minutes to run back. All in all, running back is to the ship is not the most difficult thing, but the last room is a bit more difficult again, which is kind of unfortunate. I've died to the very last room and lost like my PB already, so in Blindfolded it always can happen. We always say it's not over until you do like the very last thing and until you're like good. But yeah, we run back here. I would be like careful and kill like most of the pirates to try to not take damage, because we need as much as health as possible for the last room again, where the true final boss waits basically. At least for Blindfolded. In visual it's just normal pirate, but here I don't notice that I'm hanging, I think. Yeah, here I noticed. It's weird because sometimes with the loud background music you cannot hear a specific audio cue and then you are thinking like, what is happening? Where am I actually? Then like try to shoot and try to echolocate a bit. I also haven't talked about echolocation, I guess, in this game. Especially with missiles, what you can do is shoot a missile and like deduct the time it takes to hit a wall. With that you can kind of locate yourself, echolocate yourself in rooms. It is more used in Metroid Fusion, I have to say, but in case you get lost in Zero Mission, for example, you can use it to like check the room layout, like if a wall is right next to you, or if, if there is like nothing. And it's a pretty cool strategy too. There's not really a strat for like a room we really use this for in Zero Mission, but still for backups it's pretty cool. So yeah, as you can see, we have like lost 1 eating so far, mostly due to damage boosts, I think. Otherwise we just slowly get the way back up here. A few more pirates, a few more space jumps. I also haven't talked about this guy that is standing kind of right above us. You will see him soon. It's like a blockade basically that you need to shoot with missiles or super missiles, so it makes space. You want to use super missiles if possible, if you have, for example, in 100%, because it makes them move even faster. Here I also thought I just a little getting lost and backing it up. But then again, after Mecha Ridley you have all these missiles that you don't use anymore, so you can just spam him honestly. Here too, we kill this pirate, or forget it and get knocked down again. No, but we kill him usually and then go up here. And this is the last room already, upcoming. And what we will see me try to do is set up a quick kill for... There are 2 black pirates which take like extremely much hits, and they do extremely much damage, so this is where I died a few times. I will try to like cheese them by getting here, grabbing the edge, and I messed up. Okay, usually there is this cheese strat, so you can see I am shooting him and it takes like a long time for him to die. And there's another one, there are 2 of those. And the other one is kind of not coming, which is random because they have like a more smart AI than the red ones. There, I killed him out of screen. And I think I'm all the way down, but I'm not. And yeah, that was the whole run. That was Zero Mission, any percent. In 1 hour, 23 minutes and 13 seconds. Yeah, I am very happy about that PB. It's a very good run. I only died once to Mother Brain in a very quick matter too. It was a big PB by like 4 or 5 minutes, just because I didn't die at Mother Brain so often. Movement was also perfect, RNG was perfect. So yeah, that is Zero Mission, blindfolded as fast as possible. This is currently the world record still. I have kind of taken a break of this game to focus on other games like Metroid Fusion, as I said before. But yeah, I definitely am coming back now, submitting it to marathons, and hopefully I can showcase this run someday at the big event. Kind of unfortunate that all the events right now are only online and not on site, but it is what it is. I already have run at a lot of marathons online too, so it should be fine, I guess. But yeah, this was Any Percent. I don't know if you guys want to see the credits. At the end it says the in-game time and the item collection rate, as always. But it is more used for 100% because you can actually confirm if you have all the items there. It's always scary in Blindfolded because what if you like forgot an item and then you played through the game and it says like 99% items collected. It happened also to me once. It's pretty funny, but yeah. Anyways, this was it from my side. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope to see you at some marathons with this run. So, thank you very much for listening and viewing this commentary. I hope you have a nice day. See you around.